Many people remember the 1920s as a time of rapid economic expansion and prohibition. However, many people do not put into consideration the leisure activities, recreation, and entertainment that went with the 1920s. For example, many leisure activities include board games, watching movies, listening to the radio, and reading. Many people also went to sports events, like baseball games. One of the most popular sites for recreation in the 1920s was Coney Island in New York. This amusement park is home to the famous Coney Island Cyclone, which still stands to this day. And Coney Island was also mentioned in The Great Gatsby movie.
What do you say we go to Coney Island, old sport? We could take my car if you want. It's too late.
The 1920s has been called the golden age of American sports for many different reasons. Since the United States had such a strong economy at this time, many workers had more leisure time. This resulted in bigger attendance at sporting events. Also, the introduction of the radio made it very easy for fans to keep up with their favorite teams. Newspapers increased their coverage of sports due to the high demand. One of the sports that had a big impact during this time period was baseball, also known as America's pastime. More people went to baseball games, more people followed baseball, and more people played baseball for fun than any other sport. The most famous athlete during this time period was baseball star George Herman Ruth, or Babe Ruth, who was a right fielder for the New York Yankees. He had a very outgoing personality and was the perfect hero for the Roaring '20s. Along with baseball, the 1920s was a decade where college football became more popular. Notre Dame was the most famous college football team during this time. Since college football was becoming more popular, the best college teams could compete in bowl games, such as the famous Rose Bowl, which is held in California. For music, the 1920s were known as the Jazz Age. This was called the Jazz Age because new music was being played and made. Before jazz became popular, it was considered as the devil's music by some of the public. Broadway musicals were another example of other music during the 1920s. There were over 50 musicals opening in just one season, and people who went to see the musicals on Broadway paid up to $3.50 per seat. From a literature standpoint, the 1920s produced many great works. The author who basically named the 1920s as the Jazz Age was Scott Fitzgerald. He wrote The Great Gatsby and This Side of Paradise. He spoke of the negative side of this period's freedom. He portrayed wealthy and attractive people leading imperiled lives in gilded surroundings. Overall, the authors of the 1920s brought an outpouring of fresh and insightful writing. As a result, the 1920s brought many recreational activities to the table, including popularity in sports, literature, and music. Thanks for watching.